I would regard myself as very fortunate to have been asked to be involved in setting up Don Bosco House way back in 1978 when I was approached by the Salesian Provincial and asked would I join Father Vincent Diffley as the two-person team going in here to an empty building in Gardiner Street in Dublin and setting up this service.
The idea was to provide accommodation, care for young people who otherwise would be homeless.
I think our services is really important for the young people in terms of kind of helping them, not just to give them accommodation, but to give them a sense of belonging, that somebody cares about them. We operate from an ethos of becoming part of a family.
Prior to this, newspapers had reported a big increase in youth homelessness in Dublin city centre, and we felt that we should be doing something about that. And this was our opportunity. So on a cold January morning in 1978, we travelled down to Gardiner Street and walked into this empty building and started the work of furnishing it and equipping it so we could get this work underway for young people.
But Caroline, she rarely shows her face. She's fallen leaves. She's winter's grace.
We're in three main areas, distinct areas. One of the areas is providing aftercare and outreach to young people who have left both the care of Don Bosco and general state care and foster care. And two of our staff are working with up to 50 young people in that area at the moment. That's a really, really important area of work because young people who leave care very often into their early 20s need a little bit of hurdle help to keep going. We firmly believe in the principles of early intervention. We have a mainstream residential unit in Drumcondra working with young people between the ages of 7 and 12 who for whatever reason can't be at home. And this will allow us as Don Bosco get involved in early intervention in a very, very real way. And then the last area I suppose that we're involved in is providing aftercare accommodation for young people. And that's young people who've left care, young people generally over the age of 18, who have their own individual accommodation unit, a little flat, but are continued to be supported in the house by care staff. And we have an activities programme for up to 25 young people who have either left the care of Don Bosco, again, or left foster care or left other agencies' care. And it hinges around the idea of football and football training.
I've been in Don Bosco's since I was 15, playing football with them. About 3 or 4 years been playing football with them.
I'm in Don Bosco a year now. I came last December, I'm here a year now, so it's not too bad. It's good place, you know, it's a good place to be. The football's been on here every Thursday, games on Fridays. It's been like that on a weekly basis. It's very regular. Sometimes you get a turnout like this, sometimes you get a decent turnout, we can have a decent game, you know. It's very handy, it keeps me from off the streets and from doing stupid things, you know. At least I know I have something to look forward to during the week on a Thursday, meet the lads and come down for a game of ball, you know.
It's a good thing to have, yeah. It was never, when I first came in, it was no football, like, and then it started up and then we kind of get different lads in every week and we're all kind of loving it basically. We're playing against all different teams who was in the same situation as we were in, like, so it's quite good, like.
We've discovered far more than just football going on. We found that staff members and volunteers were actually helping young people with filling forms, with maybe problems or disputes with a landlord, maybe with a bit of mediation, a little bit of hurdle help again. So that's proven to be really, really, really important. And it's something that we would really like to continue. We don't receive any statutory funding for that. So we're actually, at the moment, operating it and funding it out of borrowing from our other resources, really. So we've got to try and do something about that and put that on a more permanent footing. As well as the football and the practical help, Father Val and Father Jimmy have been involved with it and have been giving young people a sort of a bit of an input, a meaning of life, or a bit of space for reflection.
Don Bosco, when he started his work, he had an oratory in Turin, and the boys come in off the streets, and which eventually developed into a school as well. He had the idea of the small group of boys who brought a sense of family spirit to the place. The idea of the importance of the small community and their influence on the general public. When I came to Don Bosco House, I brought my experience that I had. I saw the groups around the houses, and I tried to bring the idea in that each house should be a little community.
This is one of the strengths now of Don Bosco House, is that we have a continuum of care from the time young people might come in at 10, 11, 12 or 13 years of age, right up to 21 or 22 years of age. So a young person doesn't have to be worried about what happens when I get to 18, will I be out on my own, and all the fears and anxieties would have about that are now allayed. So we try to make our places like a family, a community, where the young people get a sense of belonging.
I first came into Don Bosco's just before I was 18. I was there for about 8 or 9 years.
I come from Southeast Europe, from the Balkans, and ethnic Albanian originally. I came in 1997 in Ireland, left at the time of troubles there. Like probably many young people here in Ireland, I faced the same, where I had basically nowhere to leave, and with the help of social worker got in touch with Bosco's.
The main thing they gave me was a place to live, support in how to live on your own. There was a lot of support around there, as in life skills. They also assisted with employment, find work, how to do up CVs, interview preparation, that kind of stuff.
Well, at the moment I'm a doctor. I graduated 2 years ago. The more time passed, the more I realised actually how valuable Don Bosco's has been.
And I don't think I would be here today if it wasn't for Val and the staff.
As we got used to the work, we began to realise it's not just enough to provide a bed, provide a place to stay, to provide food, that these young people had a variety of emotional needs, physical needs and so on. And some of them were hurt, some of them might have suffered rejection, abandonment, had attachment disorders and so on. And so we learned very quickly that we had to upskill our staff.
We started an internship program 2 years ago. Part of what we promised when we set up the internship program was that people who came would get really good experience, really good supervision, and would also get additional support and training. So as the external consultant, part of my role is to provide that support and to ensure that the training happens.
With the intern role, you kind of watch and you learn from watching the full-time staff do their role. So now I think the key thing for us as relief staff is we're stepping up into their roles and we're taking on more responsibility. So we'll be doing more things like key working and working with the lads independently.
You can definitely see with the young people from when they come in, or from even when I started the internship a year ago, you can see the progression in their confidence, how they react in different social situations, how they manage themselves around each other and just around everyone. You can see the changes.
So we have been working in a very stretched capacity for a long time. I was aware, because I had done this in another organisation that I worked with, that there are people coming out who have trained in psychology and social care and social work who don't have enough practical experience on the ground to become employed, who might be interested in coming and having just that experience that I described.
We have to be mindful that many of the young people that come to us have experienced quite severe trauma in their lives. They come with a lot of anger, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt and a lot of rejection. So building a relationship of trust where a young person gets the experience that I'm valued, I'm cared for, people want to be part of my life.
It's really important because you're working with the younger guys, and especially we've got the residential area and then we've got the aftercare. So when they're 18, they're not technically ready to move out on their own and survive on their own. So with the aftercare, it's really important for them. they need kind of still more stability and more help learning independent living skills.
The teams are very supportive. They do really good work, and we know that people who come get very good first-hand experience and are then in a position to go on and get employment. But the interns seriously contribute in a very significant way. They're a pleasure just to be around as a starting point. They're also very skillful and very insightful and really committed to the young people.
I started in Don Bosco's the age 12. So I'll be living in Don Bosco's 8 years in March. I'd say I was a demon. I literally was. I'd go around, I'd hit people. Even when I lived here, I'd hit the staff or nothing. I'd just go around and I'd be like boxing people, and then it'd be like, now, it's just like, Jesus Christ, it was like that. And look at me now, in the space of like 7 years. I was like, Jesus, that's some change. From the age of 12 upwards, I was a bit of a bastard yet when I was 13, 14, in around that age. And then as I was getting older, I was getting wiser. And if Don Bosco's didn't exist, I'd tell you, there'd be more like, even like the aftercare units, there'd be more homeless people on the streets. There'd be more stuff like that, like younger people, like they wouldn't like be able, they'd probably be in foster cares, they'd be thrown all over Ireland. But with Don Bosco's, it's probably been the best experience in my life.
Myself and my colleague Leanne work as outreach workers. We would be the only service within Don Bosco's that would work both with females and with males. We would work directly with young people moving on from state care to assist them really in transition onto independent living. And generally, young people, given their often negative experiences of the care system, can tend to struggle to seek out other support. So we are really the last support that they have prior to moving on fully independently with their lives. Currently we're dealing with high levels of waiting lists. It's become very difficult to get young people into such services that really are imperative if they're going to kick on into independent living. So I think funding is, while it may sound cliched, it really is a huge aspect of what we're going to need as regards to individuals managing a caseload of 50 young people. We are going off to see a young lady. When I started working with her, she would have been in state care. Now she's since had a baby last September, 12 months. She's living independently, and we've recently got her back into education. So she's really managing independent living very well. Her own family network wouldn't be the greatest. So Paula would be a young person I would be in touch with on a daily basis. Just given the lack of, I suppose, the lack of supports that are out there for her. I would be the only support really myself, and there would be a family support worker that would link in very, very occasionally.
Well, I know with other social workers, like when I was say around the age of 14, like they put me in these homes and I wasn't like, well, can I go there, can I choose this, can I choose that? Like that was the only reason that they were there for me. They were like, oh well, we think this is good for her, we think that's good for her. And like I feel like I wouldn't have had a say in where I wanted to be or what I wanted to do if Don Bosco wasn't there, because that's how I felt as a child with social workers. I know I was young, but I should have had some voice and I should have had some say in something in my life. So I feel like if Don Bosco wasn't here, I would be in a mother and baby unit. Like that's how I feel. Like I wouldn't have had my own place. I don't think I'd be in college. Like I don't think they were there for me, and I think I'd be absolutely lost with Don Bosco and Kieran mostly. Like Kieran is a huge part of my life. Like, and I'm gonna be like so lost without him. I am really, and I feel like crying, but I don't want to. He's managed to get me my own place. Like he's managed me to get back into education. And he's helped me budgeting, which a 20-year-old wouldn't budget the way I am anyway. So I feel like I've matured having Kieran there, and I've grown into a woman at my age anyway. And I feel like I'm a better mother because of Kieran. He's put in a lot of support for me when I did have the baby, which is the main thing that I think he done for me, which was great. I was diagnosed with postnatal depression, and he put in a support for me with a teen parents group. Now I think having Kieran and the support from Don Bosco, like I just feel like I'm at a great point in my life, like I really do.
Don Bosco up to now has been a really, really low-key organisation. It's operated almost silently in the background. and that's been the way they wanted to do it, and it's been that has been a very positive thing. But now the board and indeed the Salesians decided that we need to become more organised if we want to continue doing the work that we're doing for young people around the city.
But the big success for us is if a young man finds a nice girl and starts a family and works. That's success for us. It's very important that it gets the funding it needs, because the state is going to pay through the nose if they don't. And whereas if we help the boys, it means that they won't be as expensive on the state as they would be otherwise.
Our prisons are full of people who are kind of in a moment of mad anger, have done something really kind of horrible and have ended up kind of destroying their lives. So we do a lot of work around anger, around hurt and around pain in the hope that they'll find ways of expressing it. So we're really big on that really in terms of trying to help them to have good futures. I think that's the key to it.
If we don't get involved strongly with troubled young people at 7, 8, 9 years of age, they will end up in the children's detention system and in the prison system, definitely, without a doubt. Often, all is necessary to keep a young person, to hold a young person in their accommodation is that fiver for the ASB, dispute resolution with a landlord, dispute resolution with neighbours, stuff that many young people, because of their mental health difficulties or because of their addiction difficulties, are not as yet able to do for themselves.
I know if I didn't get Don Bosco's to stay in a place to live, there's very little options for kids out there, and that's one main one. But the rest of the avenues is just down, it's just leading down to criminality. That's it. There's nothing else to do but that, to survive, to feed yourself, to earn money. Like when you're young, you don't have any life skills, you don't have any experience, you don't have any education, and there's nothing else to do, just to cheat, lie and steal. And that's what most young kids do when they don't have the general support, or if they don't have a good family. If Don Bosco's or other similar organisations aren't there, it's the route that you're going to go down to.
Now there's a good range of services across Dublin and across Ireland now that didn't exist when we started off. But we think that we bring a particular kind of approach to young people, which has come really down from Don Bosco himself, who had a wonderful approach with young people. He had a real charming approach. He had great respect for young people, and we try to instill that into our staff who work with the young people, to have great respect for them, respect their privacy. In fact, so much so that our houses are hardly identified part of the community. We don't have any signs or names up on them. So the young people can go to school as if they were going from home to school, and that their privacy is respected, you know. So we've probably stayed below the radar. Now we have to change from that, and that concerns me a little bit, because now we have to go out and do fundraising, make ourselves known because of the cutbacks, and in order to sustain the service and carry on the service that we're doing. So I'm a bit concerned about that, but I reckon we have to do it.
For so many years I've been the one you could rely on. I climbed upon your back, took the steps you took.